take yourself to that place. How we doing, guys?
Hey, Coach. Understanding you still have a couple of practices left here, but we won't talk to you before that. So how would you assess what you've been able to do in this camp, and maybe are there any areas that you're not as far along as you would have hoped to have been for your camp here?
Well, I think it's been a great camp, and I think it's been an extension of what we've done all off season long. Our team is filled with guys who are committed to be their best and committed to be part of something special as a team. And that's all fine and good to say that, but you got to show it. And they've shown it really since we've gotten together in April. The work they had done prior to that, the work they did through the off-season program, and now over the first couple of weeks of camp. We have not had perfect days by any means, but there's no question the approach has been right. Guys are working hard to get better. We've seen a lot of young players play in this camp. We're a young football team, and we have a lot of rookies who've gotten great opportunities. Some other guys, second and third year players, have played a lot of football for us. I think that's good. You see them grow day by day. We like the chemistry of the team. We like the work ethic of the team. We're not near where we need to be. But again, I think the approach has been right. They're going about it the right way each day.
Is it, I don't want to say discouraging because you won't use that word, but you've had a lot of Pro Bowl players on both sides of the ball that haven't been able to take part out here or been very limited. How do you look at that part of this game?
Yeah, again, that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to see a lot of other guys, and you know, those guys have been good players for us. They need to practice, they need to work, but for whatever reason they can't do it. It gives someone else a chance, and we find out where that person is, and we also find out how that person grows and develops with the opportunity he gets. And that's a big part of this thing. You're going to have success. How do you handle it? You're going to have adversity. How do you handle it? So to be out here day after day after day with a lot of young guys getting work, that's a positive thing for your team.
You don't feel like any of these injuries, since all of them are expected to be back, that it doesn't compromise your ability to be ready early in the season or anything?
It doesn't. And again, a lot of that goes back to what I said at the outset, the work that everybody's put in starting all the way back in February. Guys working on their own. We had a really good off season where guys got a lot of work together. Some guys have had injuries that they've been dealing with since the season. You trust that they've been doing everything the right way. They're all ahead of schedule. They're all chomping at the bit to get back. They're completely engaged with our team. So ideally, you want every player on your team practicing fully every day. That's not realistic. You try to somehow, some way, use their absence to the team's advantage, and I think we've been able to do that.
Jason, Brad and I were having this discussion before you came on. How do you evaluate your team when other teams might not be playing their best players? Is there a formula, not a formula, but is there some evaluation, or are you just focusing on your own team at that time and how they're competing?
You're talking to relative to preseason games? Yeah, you know, I think that's an age-old question. I think that's an age-old question when you're evaluating players. You know, sometimes players, oh, he played in the fourth quarter against their thirds. You know, that doesn't count. You know, one of the things we talk to our players about all the time is it all counts. It all counts. You know, every rep you get out here in the practice field, ones, twos, or threes, they matter. Blue-white scrimmage, preseason games, all that stuff matters. You're putting a reel together, and you're trying to grow from play to play, day to day, week to week. And so we look at that. And again, that goes back to approach. Are they getting better? You never really know where you are as a team until you start playing real games. You never really know where you are as a team until you go through a 16-game schedule and handle the ups and downs and the bumps and bruises and how you respond to that. That's one of the best things our team did last year. We kept fighting, we kept competing, we got better as the year went on. And so we have to do that again, day after day, week after week, through training camp, and then certainly once we get into the season.
When you were a player and you played in these preseason games, was there a feeling of desperation because your chance was so limited, or was that too strong of a word?
Yeah, I think desperation's a little strong, but I do think it was an opportunity. And you know, I played for a long time in the NFL, but I never was an established NFL player in my mind. Every day you're walking in that building, you have to prove that you belong. Every time you take a snap, you have to prove that you belong. And I learned that from the best players. I learned that from Hall of Fame players who have that same mentality. So that's certainly what the mentality that I tried to have, was the mindset that I had, and I think it served me well. So I don't think desperation's a good word, but boy, this is a damn important opportunity, and I felt that way every day I walked in the building.
Jason, your coaches coach hard every day. We see them do that. But yesterday it looked like that they took up the intensity. Is it something that you say, hey, guys, we're going to finish this thing strong. Let's rally. Let's go. Let's all be on the, you know.
Well, we had a poor walkthrough in the morning. It's as simple as that. And everyone understood that we had a poor walkthrough in the morning when we got together afterwards. And the focus and concentration wasn't what it needed to be. And we just needed to pick it up. And so we tried to make that abundantly clear to our players and to our coaches about how we're going to practice yesterday afternoon, and they responded the right way.
You guys ended practice with those 3 plays down, I think it was inside the 10. What did you like from that, and why did you guys choose to end on that series?
Yeah, we always want to end in a competitive situation. Compete, execute, finish is the drill, and we try to pick a different one every day. We've been working a lot in the red zone, so we had a 3rd and goal from the 8, 3rd and goal from the 6, 3rd and goal from the 4. And you want to create a competitive environment. You want to put pressure on your guys to see how they respond. So each of the guys did a good job. Offense won the first play, defense won the next 2. And guys were into it, guys were going, and we'll learn from those experiences.
Maybe
Jason,
it's the fact that he's been gone for a year, and you just kind of forget. But does Alfred Morris look different to you and how he's moving around?
Alfred looks great. Alfred's been a very good player for us since we got him. He was a really good player in Washington when we played against him. He was a hard guy to tackle, always very productive. And when he got a chance to play extended time for us a couple of years ago, he played at a very high level. And he's a very good running back. He's a pro. He's got a great feel for the game. He keeps himself in shape, and maybe that's the essence of your question. He looks like a young guy out there. His vision is the same. His feel for running is the same, but he's got some quickness and some juice. It's great to have him back.
Jason, when Romo was your quarterback, I remember he kind of worked on things mechanically every offseason, like one area. Has Dak done that? Like, is he mechanically a different thrower today than when he was a rookie?
Oh, I think every great quarterback I've been around is always working on those things. And sometimes it's their footwork, sometimes it's something in their throwing motion. And you grow, you evolve. A couple great examples, 3 or 4 great examples in the NFL right now. Obviously, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, these guys who are elite players well into their late 30s and now into their 40s. And I think it's a testament to them, their approach, but also the nature of that position. There's so much to learn about playing quarterback, and if you can keep yourself healthy enough to play that long, you're going to get better and better and better. You're always evolving, you're always growing, and Dak's done some really good things 3 years into his career, but he's a young football player at that position, and he's going to keep getting better, and his mindset, his mentality, his work ethic is as good as anybody I've been around, and he's going to keep getting better.
What areas of improvement specifically have you seen from him to this point?
Well, I think just go down the list. If you want to talk about physical improvement, his footwork has gotten better. I think his motion is cleaner. He's throwing the ball better. He's throwing the ball more accurately. He's throwing the ball with more anticipation. I think that goes a little bit to his understanding of the game, what we're doing, what defenses are trying to do. I think a lot of that goes to his experience. He's been in this situation before. He can pounce on situations maybe a little bit more now because he's a more experienced player. There's so many parts to playing quarterback. And you know, the great thing about him, he's got a great competitive spirit. He's got great leadership qualities. He makes everybody else around him better. We saw that right from the start. And he's continuing to grow in those areas as well. So he goes about it the right way. He's a great example to us as coaches, and certainly a great example to his teammates.
Jerry spoke about Tony Pollard being able to absorb a lot of different information, things quickly. Was that something that you guys heard about him in the pre-draft process, or did it surprise you a little bit once you got out here?
Well, you never know about players until you have them on a daily basis, but that certainly was something that we thought was an asset for him. We saw him do a lot of different things in college, both as a runner, as a receiver, and as a protector. Played well in the Senior Bowl. When we had a chance to visit with him, very favorable interview, very favorable experience. So there was a lot to like about him in that process. Again, you never know until you have him in the building and see how he handles himself, but we certainly had a good feeling about him when we drafted him.
Have rules changes through the years in the kicking game made it less important to keep a certain number of players specifically because they help you on special teams?
There have been some rules changes that have limited those plays. You know, we could make arguments about kickoff and how there have been fewer returns because it's a dangerous play, all of that. My experience would be that the best roster makeup is one where you have special teams players who are also position players. And you don't have that many, hey, he's just a special teams guy. He can't really function on defense. We're in trouble if he has to play. Or the same thing on offense. Sometimes you have an elite player like that you say, he's worth it. I don't know that that's gone away. But I do think when you're making up your roster, you want a guy to be able to play offense and defense in addition to his kicking game role. So I don't know if it's changed us that much.
Speaking of special teams, and he's a guy who's just one thing. LP's a guy who's been around forever. What's the importance of him to this team and what he does?
Well, first of all, his job is a really important job in football. Snap, hold, kick. Wins and loses games every week in the NFL. So if you got one who's really good at what he does, it's a valuable commodity. And he's been fantastic as a short snapper and also as a punt snapper. He gives the kickers, the other specialists, a great opportunity to be successful. He's a real pro. I think he's helped that unit, those guys, those specialists grow and develop as players. He certainly is a leader on special teams, but he's also a leader on our team. The example he sets, the professionalism that he demonstrates every day. So he's just a real asset. He does his job really well, and then he has a residual impact that's really positive for our team.
How do you not take him for granted since you've been with him forever?
Oh, I think we recognize the importance of his role, so that's how you don't take him for granted. And then you see his impact on so many other parts of our team, independent about what he does. So there's just a lot to like about him. He's been a great example and a great leader for us for a long time.
What are the most important things you think that Jalen's provided the defense as he's overcome the physical challenges that he had and now seems to be, almost back where he was before he was ever injured? Plays with a lot of enthusiasm. Just could you appraise what he does?
Yeah, first of all, he's just a really good football player. He's a productive player. He makes a lot of tackles. He's around the ball a lot. He makes big hits. He makes plays in the passing game. So he does everything you want your linebackers to do. Hits on the ball is a big quality. We talk about that a lot. Hey, hits on the ball. How many hits on the ball do you have? He typically has a lot of them. And he had them in college. I mean, when you watched him as a college player, it was like, wow. It leaped off the tape. Like, who is this guy? Well, that's the guy who hurt his knee. We got to investigate that whole thing, And we did, and we're really happy that we made the decision that we did. I just think as much as anything else, it's a great story, how far he's come to come back and play, and I think that shows up every day in how he approaches it. I think he really appreciates this opportunity to be a pro football player for the Dallas Cowboys, and he brings it. He brings it every day, shows up in his performance. He's growing as a leader, being in that role as the leader of the defense. He embraces that, becoming a better communicator, making guys around him better. So he, too, is a really young player. Has not played a lot of football yet, but he's getting better and better. His approach is outstanding.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, good to see you.